Hi and welcome back to Bedecked. I am the author stylist Rebecca Baxter Bryan. Today I have an interview for you. This is a continuation of last week's episode on the writer's retreat I attended because I did an interview with the organizer, Jay Thorn. Jay started out as a kind of a horror post-apoc author. He did a lot of co-writing with his business partner, Zach Bohannon. And since then they've kind of, obviously stayed friends, but kind of did their own things. They ran a lot of world building weekends together, and they're big on in-person events, especially small, intimate ones, where you can really get to know the other attendees and ultimately become family. By the way, if you see my hand kind of flailing around, my face painter friend Barbara, who I've mentioned before, is getting into henna tattoos. So I was her canvas today, as I always am. So anyway, I just realized my ring light wasn't on. So it just got a lot brighter. Sorry about that. Always so profesh here on Bedecked. Alright, so like I said, Jay started out doing post-apoc, lots of collaborations, and then he and Zach developed this thing called the 3-story method. Jay is a certified story grid editor, and this is a much more simplified version of how to craft a good story that pays off for readers. This was their first book in the series, and then they have a lot of other smaller books in the series that basically delve into what it takes to be a professional writer. And there's lots of contributors, stuff like that. And there's also workbooks that go along with it. This one, like I said, is the basics of 3-story method, and then they released 3-story method on a scene level, which looks a lot like this, but there's a red cover. I have that one digitally, and actually I'm also a small contributor to that book. There's a masterwork section of the book, and I helped Jay with the Pride and Prejudice scene analysis. So yeah, Jay and I sat down for a few minutes at the end of the writer's retreat weekend in Cleveland, and I have the interview for you today. Hi, Jay.
Hi. Let me up.
We should have turned these around so we were inside the cage. That would have been funny. So how does it feel to be on this side of the interview again? You're usually the one interviewing people.
Yeah, it's always fun. I love the conversations with other authors, no matter which side I'm on.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much for having us at this, your lovely hometown of Cleveland. This has been a lot of fun this weekend.
Good, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, very productive. Did you get a lot done?
I did, I got words in.
Good?
Yeah.
Good,
yeah.
good. How long does it take to organize something like this?
Surprisingly, this didn't take very long. This was an idea that Christine and JP gave me.
Oh.
Because I tend to overplan and overthink things, and they said, why don't you just do a writer's retreat and just have people hang out and write together? And after all these years, I've done all these elaborate trips and retreats and never thought about just doing a writer's retreat.
Yeah.
So it was really more about sort of finding the spots in town that I wanted to take you and give you a little taste of Cleveland and hopefully give you a little experience of something you couldn't get at home.
Yeah, that's very true. So you are a big proponent for in-person events. Why do you think it's valuable for writers to do, whether it's a retreat or a conference or anything like that?
I don't know what the science is or if there is any, but the dynamic is always different in real life. You can look at someone on Zoom, but when you sit across them at a table, it's just different. It's bonds are formed, conversations happen that just wouldn't have naturally occurred, and just over the years, I find myself more and more drawn to smaller and smaller events.
What is your favorite and least favorite part about organizing these things?
Least favorite. I really do enjoy planning them, so I don't really have a least favorite. I think my favorite is introducing people to things I know they don't have at home. It's like this space is a great example,
This is so nice.
This workspace is amazing. And there are workspaces all over the country, but there's not this particular one. And I love sharing like the things that I'm passionate about, the things I enjoy. I love sharing that with other people. So whether it's a co-working space or a coffee shop or a Mexican restaurant with pineapple fajitas.
Highly recommended if you're ever in Cleveland. I introduced you to that.
Yeah,
actually.
that's true. That's true. My home field restaurant, and I didn't even know they served it.
Yep. Yeah. How about going to in-person? So when you go to someone else's in-person event, is it one of those things where you're getting ideas or like saying, I would have done this different? Like, is it a different experience going to one now?
Yeah, it definitely is a different experience going to them. I usually come back. It depends on the nature of it. If it's a conference or a workshop, I come back and my head is just full of ideas, and it takes me weeks to decompress. If it's a smaller event, I try, because I do so many, I try and force myself not to be in the organizer's shoes, because I know that it's always challenging and that they're trying to do their best. So I try just to be in the moment and enjoy it for what it's worth.
What would your tips be for someone going to one of these for the first time and like presenting themselves for the first time and meeting new people?
I think the best thing that you can do if you're going to your first in-person event, whether that's a writer's retreat or a conference or a non-writing related thing, is just to immerse yourself in the experience completely. It's so easy and tempting with all of our modern devices to get pulled into email and text conversations and not be in the moment, and I think it's a missed opportunity. So I would say, however that looks for you, if you can be fully immersed and really engaged in the experience, you'll get the most out of it.
So I know something you value is professionalism. You
Me?
No, you do. You value professionalism in other people. You expect people to be professional. You are happy when they are, and you are unhappy when they are not, I think. How does that come into play at events like this? How important is it?
I guess it depends on how you define professionalism. How do you think I define professionalism?
Maybe it's just in your working relationships, because I know you expect to hear back from people. I know you expect things to happen on time. I know you've said if you suggest something to someone, you expect them to follow through. Follow through, I guess, is professional.
Okay, yeah, I would say, because I've been in this situation so many times, if someone asks me for advice, I give it to them. What I do in that situation is I do whatever the person says. So if I'm asking for help and the person I'm asking for help from is a little further on the journey than I am, then I really want to respect their ideas, and I will do it. Even if I think it's the wrong thing to do, I will try it. So I think that's probably what you're talking about. If someone asks me for advice and I give it and they're defensive or they come up with reasons why it doesn't work, then I kind of shrug and like, okay, well, they don't have a growth mindset, and they probably shouldn't have asked for it in the first place if they weren't going to consider it. So, yeah, not necessarily professionalism in like wearing a tie.
Right. I'm going to pivot into that.
I mean, you're wearing more camo than I am this weekend.
I had to.
I noticed.
I've worn this T-shirt every time I've seen you, I think.
I think so. Going back to some more book shows.
Yes. Yes. Which I did mention on the previous episode. So, yeah. So let's pivot into that. The fashion. Do you change? I know you value minimalism and not having a lot of things. Do you change what you wear in the slightest bit, whether it's in-person events, whether it's on Zoom, depending on who your audience is?
I don't know. I don't know what you would consider me. I'm probably fashion agnostic. I don't know if that's a term. Can we make that up?
Sure.
I think because I'm a minimalist and because of that, I trend towards things that sort of have staying power. So I like classic things. Like I like Doc Martens. I like black leather jackets. I like blue jeans. And those are the kind of things that for decades they might sort of go in and out of vogue to a certain degree, but they've always been around. And like Chuck Taylor's is another great example of sort of like an evergreen fashion. So I think I trend towards that. I'm not anti-fashion. I kind of like things that I like, and that's who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, it says a lot being authentic, I feel like. I think being authentic sometimes is more valuable than being professional, especially if you're going to be uncomfortable. Like if you were to wear a suit to an event, no one would probably know who you are.
And in my teaching days at one particular school, I had to wear a suit and tie every day.
Oh, really?
And when I left that, I vowed I would never do that again.
Okay. That's fair. Well, let's talk about what you're working on today. What are you working on today?
I am first drafting a thriller today.
Nice.
So I'm just getting the raw words down. I'm trying not to backtrack and reread and overthink. I'm just trying to get the words out because you can't revise a blank page.
That's true. So I have your 3-story method workbook right here. Is there anything people can look forward to in the 3-story universe in the future?
As a matter of fact, there is. There are several of the certified 3-story method editors who are working on books in the series, and they'll be tailored toward their particular specialty or expertise. So there's give you a little sneak preview. There's a masterwork guide in the plans, possibly a short story book, and a book on scenes.
Oh,
those are all in some stage of completion.
cool. All right, so bringing it back to community, you run one. Are you still accepting people? How do people apply?
Yes, recently Chris and I made a decision to make the community free, but it's by application or referral only. So I would just suggest if anyone wants to join our community, go to theauthorlife.com. There'll be a button there. It's a very short application, and we'll take a look and bring you into the community. We're trying to keep it small and engaged, but we still have room to grow.
Say Beck sent you.
Yes.
You'll get in.
You'll get immediately stamped, rubber
Front
stamp.
of the line. Cool. So do you have any other events coming up that I can look forward to paying you for?
I like how you phrased that. Nothing in 2022, although I will say we are going to do, every year I've done something called the Essential Gathering, which is a free gathering for the community. And pre-pandemic, it was in person. But because of the pandemic and because we have a global community, it's been online. And we're doing that in December. This will be like an free online summit for members. So join if you want to be a member. And then I'm thinking right now about what offerings might be for 2023. So stay tuned on that.
Stay tuned, guys. Okay, thanks, Jay.
Thank
I'll let
you.
you get back to work.
All right.
I think the mall's opening soon.
Let's go.
So that was the interview at Jay Thorn. I will have all his links below if you want to check out his books, whether fiction or nonfiction. Stay tuned because he's writing a thriller novel, which actually I think he's publishing under a different pen name. But anyway, if you're interested in joining the community, I have that down below too. Drop my name if you apply to be in the community. You'll get right in. It's a lot of fun. Funny and intellectual and just really helpful conversations about craft, the business of writing, and just life. Thanks to Jay for giving me that interview and having so many fun author events. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Tune in next week for whatever topic or book I decide to deck out next. Bye!